And then through the abuse and the depression, that kind of led into hardcore drug abuse. I became a heavy addict. You name it, I was doing it. My choice of drugs was LSD, or also known as acid, cocaine, and marijuana. And I usually mixed the three together all at once. So basically I would have, this sound crazy to people, I would have marijuana that was laced with acid. I would roll it into a blunt, and then I would lace it with cocaine, and then I would smoke that shit.
I can't even figure out what you were thinking.
Right?
But I mean, and then when you, what affected, what does that do to you?
All kinds of crazy stuff. Hallucination, plus the speed, and then at the same time mellow. So it's I can't even go backwards to be able to explain to you. I will say that I did have my good times, and I'll save that for another topic, because the topic of how I help people come out of drug abuse, I have a unique and unorthodox way of how I help people. But nonetheless, so from that led to suicidal attempts, and then eventually, like, I woke up one day and I was ready to take my life, and then I knew that I had to make a change. And from that day forward, like, I never looked back.
What made you click? What made you change your mind? Was it something you saw, heard, or did you reflect on yourself in the mirror, or what was it?
I wasn't afraid to die.
Oh my gosh.
I was okay with dying. And to this day, I'm not afraid to die. But I live it differently.
Right.
But back then, I wasn't afraid to die, so I was like, you know what, screw it. I woke up, I was in pain every day, not physically, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually. I was just in constant pain. I was hurting. I hated my life, all the shit that I had been through. And I was getting ready to jump off my second story down, and I had already planned the whole thing. I was going to face jump right into my backyard on a glass table. Like, I was ready to just let it go.
And can I say something? People are listening. I didn't know all this. So this wasn't something I've heard before.
No.
You've never shared this with me.
No.
You said you've had a rough past, and you went into 5% of it. You're getting into.
Well, this is the super short
because it's making
story
me emotional now.
This is super short story version, because I want to save it for when you and I get a chance to talk about our stories. And as I sat there getting ready to jump off, and there's a few moments where I did, and I had like this awakening moment, and I'm like, and again, not to get spiritual on people, but I felt the Holy Spirit, I felt God talk to me and be like, it's not your time yet. Like, you deserve a chance.
And that did.
You have 2 sick siblings. You're going to make your parents lose 3 children. I mean, goosebumps. And I just kind of had this awakening moment, and I'm like, and I just kind of sat there, and I'm sitting on the ledge, and I'm asking myself, like, how do I beat this thing? I don't know how I'm going to beat it. I don't know where to start. And it finally came down to, well, I at least deserve to give myself a chance. And when I said that phrase, like, a light bulb went off. And I was like, okay. So I came back inside, and I started to write down all my feelings, everything. There's like 30 pages of
How did you know to do that?
I didn't. I just had to get it out, because I didn't want to talk to anybody. I hated my sister. I hated my parents. They had criticized me my whole life, and they had criticized me because of my drug addiction. They're the typical parents. They were the typical family that doesn't understand. They're more judging, you know. And I didn't believe in doctors. I don't believe in therapists. To this day, I don't believe in therapists for certain things, especially for addicts. If a therapist has never been an addict.
Oh, I agree with you.
So I figured, let me just put this all on paper. Maybe one day, if I do find somebody that I can talk to, if I can't get it out in words, I at least have it in writing, and they can just read it. So then I decided eventually, I was like, okay, last 10 years, I spent my whole life completely destroying my life. I have no childhood left. I'm about to turn 21. That past 10 years, all drugs. So let's reverse engineer that, and let me do the exact opposite and spend the next 10 years just getting healthy, mentally healthy, spiritually healthy, physically healthy. started working out, started to study on health and nutrition. Was getting ready to go to law school, and I dropped out of that. And I just got to get healthy. Became my sole purpose, to just get healthy. And I had told myself, and then I had another conversation with myself, like, how do I make sure I don't relapse? Because I already knew all the stories of people that relapse. You relapse until you end up taking your life, or like you just never get out of this vicious cycle. And so I made a pact with myself that, well, let me rephrase that. I made a pact with the devil. And I had taken an oath. If I relapse, I will take my life.